Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Hey, Cliff. Yeah, wonderful to have you here. Today is a special day, America's Heroes Group Roundtable with clean energy infrastructure partner Zodiac Solutions, LLC. And August is National Wellness Month, so check out your wellness. Make sure that you're going for your checkups, making sure that you're staying healthy and your family stays healthy. Today is Saturday, August 7th at 2021, and our host is Cliff Kelly, the Governor of Talk Radio, the Honorable, iconic voice of radio. And I am his co-host, Colonel Dr. Damon Arnold. Our executive producer is Glenda Smith, and our digital media producer is Ivan Ortega of Scouts Honor Productions. Today we have a esteemed panelist, Rob Howard, a U.S. Navy veteran and President CEO of Zodiac Solutions, LLC. And hello, Rob. How are you doing?
I am doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Excellent, excellent. I know we were going to be talking today, our discussions about Broadband Closing the Gap, but I know you have an esteemed colleague that you're going to introduce, Rod.
Yes, if you got him plugged in, Roderick Matthews, part of what we do in the clean energy field as we're trying to grow is you have to make sure you have partners who can bring expertise that maybe you don't have. And Roderick Matthews, who is also a Navy veteran, really focuses with Brevigen Energy, focuses on the technical pieces when we start talking about broadband. So I just wanted to have Rod queued up and just ready just in case, we wanted to get into more technical aspects. Because we wanted to stay high level, but part of doing this business is making sure you're always prepared.
Oh, fantastic. And I love, that he's a veteran, too. It just shows how much talent is out there in our veterans. And when you start looking to hire people who are employers looking for employees, I heard there's a shortage of employees going around the country. Start looking towards your veterans. A lot of them are out there. They have talents, they have skills, and they have discipline that you need for your companies to run efficiently. So keep looking for us. Okay, so yeah, Rob, why don't you tell us more about this Broadband Closing the Gap? What is that all about?
Well, one of the things that COVID has taught us was that there are issues that we were ignoring as a society. Mm-hmm. And one of those was the fact that, you can't always get to the school building or you can't always get to your job, and it requires high-speed internet to actually do that work long distance. And so when we start talking about closing the gap, if you look at our diverse, low to moderate income communities, there's not adequate broadband, and where there is, the cost is it's out of their price range. Now you have companies that say, well, we'll offer it, but it's not offer it at an affordable rate. But honestly, how often do we hear about that? So what we're trying to talk about closing the gap is for us, I want to lay out some ideas for entrepreneurial veterans or veterans looking for work, some ways for us to close the gap on making sure that broadband is available, mm-hmm. small business opportunities to be able to provide it, and to show those low to moderate income communities how they can actually get the work done. And veterans are right at the forefront with the knowledge necessary to make it happen.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you think is some of the obstacles? Because right now the Biden administration is starting to put money out there for infrastructure, building, looking at bridges. I know some things for Hawaii, Texas, and a couple of other states. But I'm wondering what do you think is needed as far as the infrastructure? Because I keep hearing about service shortage areas, those kinds of things.
Well, one of the things that's the elephant in the room is the fact that when you're dealing with the government, mm-hmm. because they are concerned about the fact that it's taxpayer dollars, that there's a lot of paperwork. So that's the first barrier is, one, understanding that there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of paperwork. So you have to have the capacity to be able to have someone who understands that the governmental process to be able to move the dollars. I mean, it's the same issue we've seen with the, as an example, with the eviction money for people to pay their rent and things like that. It's so cumbersome and difficult. And I don't, accuse anybody of doing anything nefarious. It's just they want to make sure they follow it, but they don't really understand that if I'm worried about trying to move this from step A to step B, I can't focus on these things that you think are important. Let's focus on the issues. So we have to be able to make sure we have, like American Heroes Group has folks on their on your advisory board.
Yes, yes.
Those are the type of people we need to understand from the federal level, what is necessary, having the conversations, but then move to the state and the local level. Cities, when they're looking at cities and school districts, when you're looking at, okay, I have all of these students that need to get broadband because we don't know what's going to happen with COVID. But at the same time, we also found that having broadband internet and being able to work at home was very positive for certain sectors of our schools, like some of the autistic kids. This gave them the ability to get up, move around without disrupting the class, and so we saw a number of them actually doing better. So to be able to provide it, we should be talking, and so that everyone understands, we should be talking locally with our city councils, city managers, mayors about what is available, because we're talking about not having what we believe in, the process is poles and wires aren't necessary with wireless internet. They get iced over in the cold weather. Accidents cause problems. But when you deal with wireless technology that is smaller and is able to be used simply with the established infrastructure, whether it is a building, whether it is an established phone pole, whether it is fencing, we're able to take the equipment and connect it and provide you with high-speed internet and doing it that way.
Wow, that's amazing because, I was thinking about that when you were speaking, is that, we now have cell phones and we take it for granted. But before we had the dial-up phones, you had to actually put your finger in the dial and turn it, to get the number. And now with the cell phones, a lot of other countries that are developing don't have to go through the same stages we went through, where we had to put all of that, heavy infrastructure in and wires, and like you were saying, they get frozen. And now with the wireless kind of connectivity, you're actually in a better position.
You nailed it. Because what's interesting about it is we also have to, again, continue to maintain a focus and understanding and not be frustrated. It takes government a little longer to move forward because they're working with what they believe to be established technologies and information. So what does that mean? That means we have to continue to have conversations with our elected officials so that we can start, because you're going to need them. Let's take a city. If a city or a school district wants to put in a wireless network and we can provide high-speed internet, you take a school and we'll have it for a 1 mile radius. A 1 mile radius. Now, here's what you just did. You just enabled that school district to say, all of our students who are low to moderate income are going to get, high-speed broadband. And then we work with them about making sure they have the equipment, but that broadband is right to their front door. Now, you could also, instead of a local business paying a crazy amount for high-speed internet for their business, now you can decide what is affordable for them. And so you win on both sides. And so that's where I think the relationships are critical. We have to not be afraid to talk to our mayors, not be afraid to talk to our city councils, not be afraid to talk to school districts, because there's funding available through them. You create that partnership, and imagine having a young entrepreneur, a veteran, just got out, he's got a technical background, where now he can start a business in that local community. That's a call center. A call center for this wireless internet system we just put in. A billing center for this system we just put in. It begins to feed on itself, but it's about locally connecting and using what is available and creating a team.
Oh, fantastic. What are some of the challenges, because every time I pick up my iPhone, I'm wondering, what other version is out there. So as time goes on, it seems like technology is accelerating and its ability to be transformative. And so, when you're going from one system, I'm almost afraid when I go into a bookstore to buy a book on Windows 7, right? Because I know that Windows 10 and 11, 12 is going to come out, and that book that I have for 7 is not going to be worth anything. So how do you keep up with that technological advancement? It moves so fast.
Well, here's one of the things we do, because it does. I'm one of those folks that when the new phone comes out, I'm like, the one I'm using works. So I'll give it some time, and I don't want to pay the expensive price, right? So the new stuff that comes out, all the flash and bells and whistles, what are you going to pay more for? What we do is we try to make sure the technology we use, we make sure it has, technology changes a lot, the pieces you see, but the core delivery of broadband, as an example, that part's not changing. It's about whether or not that individual component may get more efficient or something like that. But the reality is what you're delivering will work for, 8, 10, 12 years. And then by then, what you really are changing, if you notice the phone companies, they go from whatever to 5G. They didn't change out the tower for people who are using their phones. Now, they will change out. Equipment has a lifespan. And so what you want to do is you measure that out, you factor that in. But when we start talking about with broadband, because we're using smaller units, they're easier to change out. They're great for the technology as far as ensuring that you get the 2 gigabyte right there to the house, and then we start working on the equipment. So a lot of it is just about not being afraid of what's changing, but really getting a better understanding of what we have and how robust the equipment we have, so that you can, again, keep getting that service to people.
Okay. This is Rod Matthews.
Oh, correct. Okay,
I was just saying, we designed the system so it's effectively future-proof. A lot of the upgrades that can be done remotely through like firmware upgrades. But the key factor is not having the end user have anything to do with that. As far as they're concerned, they keep getting internet access, and as the technology changes, they may notice the speed increase. But as the technologies change, we'll handle all that. It'll be seamless to the end user. But design the system with that in mind.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. So can you explain, the two of you? Because I hear about 4G, 5G. That's gonna be 10G. But I'm trying to figure out, so what's the difference? Why is it so important to have more speed?
As with anything, the more you have, more people find out can do with it, and the more they're going to need in the future. So in those G, 4G, 5G, that's just the G stands for generation. That's the fourth or the fifth generation of this wireless technology that's out right now. Okay. And then, in a couple of years, that'll be 6G, because that'll be the sixth generation of the technology that's come out.
Okay.
Just like with anything else, with hard drives, 20 years ago, you had a 5 megabit hard drive where, that was, you thought, man, I never fill it up. And now space is just, the storage component has grown exponentially.
Yeah. Because now you're doing terabytes and all that kind of stuff, right?
And there's a law, it's called Moore's Law in computing, that every 18, the speed and capacity doubles.
Oh.
For any technology.
You would say that again? So Moore's Law. I've never heard that.
Yes, every 18 months, the speed and capacity effectively doubles with technology.
Wow. Hey, speed and capacity. Wow.
Correct.
That's amazing. So I was wondering, what how do people map this out? Because if you're putting these these units in, because you were mentioning Rob, that if you are locally connecting and you want to do it in a school setting within a mile, that kind of thing, how do you figure out the pattern, the grid? How do people know they're not even in an internet zone? Because I guess if you try to turn on the TV, it doesn't work, so you're not there, right? But I'm trying to figure out how they plan this out. Is it like city planning, or how do they figure out where to put these internet connections?
We have a team of engineers. We gather the location information. We do things like through Google Earth and get all the surrounding areas. So we can map that out that way to see what radius we can cover, where would be the best place to position the radios. We have software that allows us to do that.
Okay, yeah. So you can pick up the broadband deserts, because I've heard that before, that the areas where you just can't get it. And so this is the kind of solution that you're bringing to the table and making sure people have access. And
Absolutely.
I know a lot of the educational things right now, too, are on, like with people staying at home. We don't know what the impact of the pandemic has been on education. Some people did not have access to the broadband capabilities, had to go to local libraries, or I'm not sure of how else they contended with that when everything was online, and people were holding classes online. So this has implications for education, right, in our communities as well.
Absolutely. I mean, today, internet access is a commodity. I mean, it's almost expected. I mean, it's hard to even conduct everyday life without some access to the internet, right? So it's very imperative, as Rob said earlier, that we get this access to people who need it most.
And part of it, I guess I've been hitting the edge of it, is the educational component. Like, what does 5G mean, and that kind of thing. I wonder, is there a site that you have that people can go to, like a website or some kind of educational resource for people to start educating themselves on this? And I'm not sure if you have like a phone number or business kind of thing that you want to throw out there.
Well, I would say first, Rob, what do you think would be, because there's so many different ways to do it. It kind of depends on who really wants to do that education. Is it an entrepreneur? Is it a local government? But a lot of it is just, contact us directly, and we'll pretty much customize the information you need depending on what you want.
Okay, yeah, because I was wondering, because people are out there and they're trying to figure out more about this access issue, how they can get involved, or a lot of communities that they're really wishing to have that coverage. And I'm not sure of how people can get involved in this whole process. Is it calling your local representatives, like you were saying, Rob, where you were saying that the mayors and these people are critical for relationships? I know for you from a business perspective, but is it another point where people need to start demanding more? Especially in communities where you have poverty, rural communities, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would say the best way to really start moving that forward is to start having those conversations. I will give them, if people want to call me directly, I'm going to give you my cell number, and just call us, and then we can literally have conversations. Then we can connect you with the individuals, because your radio show is a global platform.
Yeah.
If I gave you one area, it just wouldn't do it justice. So what we want to try to do is we'll take individuals, we'll talk to them, and make sure that we start connecting them with their local folks, as well as potential business connections to help them put this piece together.
Oh, fantastic! That would be helpful.
Well, let me. If everybody, I'm in a 760 area code, and it's 760-828. 3058. Again, 760-828-3058. I mean, that's literally my cell phone. And so, and you can email me at Zodiallc.com. That's Zodiac LLC, short for Zodiac. Zodiallc.com. Robert at Zodiac.LLC.com.
Okay. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Because the energy technology industry is changing, and for veterans, you use a lot of that while you're in the service, but you also learn how to work as a team. You learn how to pull projects together, so you're able to learn. We need to start focusing on this and moving forward in this area because it's available.
Fantastic. Well, we just ran out of time, but this is one of those topics I feel like we could be talking all day because it is so important. But, America's Heroes Group, we are so happy to have you as a partner. Clean Energy Infrastructure, Zodiac Solutions, and, Rob Howard and your guest, Roderick Matthews, thank you both. This is a critical issue for communities, especially a lot of communities of color who are facing the outages, and as well as rural communities where people don't have that access. So thank you very, very much. And stay with us. Stay with us. We're going to be back in a moment, and we have a lot more to go. So stay with us.